Now, having said that, we also look at different software available for word processing, starting from Microsoft Word, and that's what we are going to use. And then there are other alternatives. Microsoft is a proprietary software. Proprietary means it's a closed source, which means we don't know how they have written Word software, and it's commercial, meaning you have to pay for it, right? And then if you look at other alternatives, like if you take OpenOffice, normally we use OpenOffice in Linux systems, right? We know that operating system, Linux is actually the kernel, but there are distributions. OpenOffice is a free and open source. Free meaning you don't have to pay for it. The latest version you can download if you want for free. And actually you will have the same similar features as Microsoft Word. And then if you look at Apple computers, Apple iOS operating systems, they have what we call iWork pages. iWork is a set of, bundled software for various tasks. And in iWork, we can use for word processing. Now, apart from that, we have now online tools, so cloud-based software we call it, or else when it comes to cloud computing, what do you mean by cloud computing? You don't have to install software. Now you can use a browser and internet connection to use various kind of softwares. And Google Docs is one of the things, and Microsoft 365 is another one, right? Google Docs is quite popular because it's free and you can convert into any of these formats, right? It's a cloud-based software. So likewise, you should know what are the software available for word processing, right? Then we actually discussed the interface, word interface. Few things we discuss. We have quick access toolbar for common tasks. So usually there will be about like 3 commands visible: save, undo, and also redo. But you can change these 3, right? So the top left hand side, we have this small space. It's called quick access toolbar. So if you are using like save button, we have to use anyway most of the time. So that's why it's called quick access, but you can change this, right? You can look at, there's an arrow here. You can click and you can change it if you want. Right? Then we know that Microsoft products, we have here what we call the ribbon. In ribbon, we have the various, tasks with the icons, and that's exactly we were discussed. And then you have a set of tabs for various tasks. And then in the ribbon is grouped, like for example, this set of icons is for changes of fonts, and this set is for the paragraphs, and so on. So grouping is there, right? The next one, we look at the various different icons or the tasks that we could accomplish. Now, for example, we discuss converting this left hand side one is a right hand side. We need a bolded font, and then we have italics, underline, strike through, right? Then you can increase the font, you can change the font, then you can combine. This is actually use of 3. We will using actually bold, italics, and underline, right? So most of the time in exam questions we will see today, you'll be given this, right? Before and after, usually they call it. And you should be able to identify relevant, the command that you need to use now, like giving numbers like this, right? For example, if you take this one, we are using bold, italics, underline. So in this case, we are using 1, 2, 3, right? So likewise, we have text highlight. This is called change case. That means here we have uh, capital letters for each word starting point. Now, if you want the change case to capital, then you can select it from here. The number 15 is there. We call change case. Likewise, we have bulleted list, numbered list. Then we have center line, right? Right line, left line, justify. And then we have subscript, and this is we call superscript. So these things we will actually discuss how we could, use it. Okay. Now the next one that we are going to look at, we have already done the other sections as well, right? We will start with where we have stopped last time. Right. Now, having said that, let me go to the note where we have stopped last time. So in this particular case, right. Okay, few things I want to discuss today. Now, one thing we can use of lists, right? And use of nested lists. So let me start with my word interface. So let me share. Right here is my word interface. I'm going to share it. Right now it's blank. Right. So right now here list means you can have a couple of things. Let me put 1, 2, and 3, so on. And then when you select these 3, and if you go to this place, we know it's a bulleted list. And if you click on this arrow, then you can use different, right, symbol. If you need more symbols, you can go click on this, and then you can go to define new bullet, and you can use symbols from different characters, like for example something like this. I'm going to select, and then when I click OK, so you see that now it has changed. This is possible. Now if you want to have these 2 items inside one, right, you can just press tab key, which will change the levels. So this is called nested list. And if you want, you can change it. Now, for example, if I want to put this as right, so you can use different symbols than this one. You can select and change. Similarly, you can do the same with numbered list, right? So I'll put this back. Now we have list as 1, 2, 3 using numbers. But if you want, you can change others like ABC, right? That's possible. So depend on your requirement, we can change the list, right? Okay. So that's about the list and listed list, right? Okay. Now I would like to discuss how can you check spellings and grammar, right? Now for that, I'm going to take a small paragraph, right? And then I'm going to take it to Word, right? So I have taken a small paragraph from the internet just to show you how do you check. Right now, when you type, sometimes you will see, right, different colors, right, when you type it marked under the word. Now, for example, already we have red line under manna. The reason for this is, right, whenever word unable to identify the word, it compares the word in the dictionary it has. If that word is not there, it will highlight in different colors. So grammar mistake. Now, for example, let me say something like this, right? If the word is there, it will not highlight. Now, for example, here I actually make some mistakes, right? So I'm changing purposely. So now you see, right? Some of the words actually you have some meaning, so that's why it's not get highlighted. So particularly I'm trying to use. Okay, now I think that's enough. Usually this happens when you type something. When you see a red color, it means that word is not available. Not that is not correct. Now, for example, if you take Manna, it's a name of a city. And basically you don't have this in the dictionary, right? And usually the default dictionary word has is American English, right? So it will compare your spellings against American English. Right now, let me say, now if I'm going to, if I want to correct it, there are a few ways you can do this. So these are grammar mistakes, sorry, spelling mistakes. Then things like spaces, right? So that also sometimes recognize, you see in blue color, right? So you'll see here blue color. For example, I make some mistakes. Right? So these are some of the mistakes I made. Right? Now, let's try to correct this. Now for that, you have to go to review tab. Right? In review tab, usually we have to have correct, mistakes. So in this particular case, we have to check grammar. We have to check grammar. Now, for that, usually we have the symbol ABC, but this is newer version. I don't have that symbol, but I'm going to show you in editor how you're going to do this. Usually you have this symbol. Let me show you, right? If you have 2010 Word, usually you have this, right? Something similar to this one. You have a separate one under review, and this is newer version. You don't see, but we can find out grammar mistakes like this. So I'm actually using the newer version. So let me do this, but if you have older version, you have a symbol like this. Now in my case, it says there are 5 spelling mistakes, right? And then it says, okay, there are 2 grammar mistakes. Okay, so let's see how to correct this. Now, first one, when you take spellings, right? So it goes to the word at a time, and it will provide us some suggestions. So for example, the very first one it chose is called socialist. So I know that this is the correct word. So I can click and correct, I can select. If you go to the next one, again, what is suggested is correct. Sometimes you might not get the correct answer. In that particular case, actually you can ignore, right? I'll come to that point and you can manually come here and change it. Right now, I'm going to select this, right? Another way to correct this is you can right click on it. Now, manna, for example, it's correct, right? So, but uh, the word is recognize it as a spelling mistake. So we can say, okay, ignore once if you want to ignore this word once. But let's say there are many places in the document, then you should use ignore all, right? So right now I'm going to say, okay, ignore once. Then here we know it should be Lanka. And then finally, this should be officially, right? Now with that one, you can see now that we have corrected the spelling mistakes. Now let's go to grammar now, right? I have put a lot of space, some change some spaces. That's also identified a grammar mistake, but so we can use that. And then we have line, right? And still we have another one. Okay, this should be is. Now with that one, now we have finished checking, right, spellings and grammar. So when you type something, especially if you use English, unfortunately, Sinhala, we don't have this sophisticated way of recognize spellings and grammar mistakes, but there are tools in development stage. Hopefully, future we can even check spellings and grammar in Sinhala. Right. So that's the very first thing I want to discuss today. Right. Okay. Before I proceed, right, please note if you have any questions, please use chat right, to send me the answers, sorry, send me the queries, right? Make sure that, you know, you use chat session, right? Okay, right. Okay, now I'm going to look at another. So this time I'm going to discuss how to apply border and color for the page. Now, previously we discussed, now you can apply border to a word, right? How do you do that? You go to Home tab, right? You go to Home tab, right? First of all, you select the word, you go to Home tab, and here in borders, you can select border. So usually you go for borders and shading. And then you are going to select where do you want to apply. So the selection is text here. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to have a box and I'm going to fill the box with, let's say, green color, right? Sorry, this is actually border color. We will have red, for example. And then the line, I'm going to change the width, right? The pattern, I can select it from here. I can change. So if I do this, so you see the border like this. But if you need a color, you can select the same. You can go for shading and fill color. We can different color. So like this. Similarly, you can have borders for paragraphs. So in having borders for paragraph, it will be the same. You go to borders and shading, but this time you have to say apply to paragraph, right? Again, you can have the way you want. I'm going to have, different style and a different color. Right? And shading, I will use yellow, for example. Now, if I put that, you see, we are getting borders and shading. So this we have already discussed. So you can use borders for words, you can use borders for paragraphs. So today, let's start with looking at how to put borders for whole page, right? So I'm going to zoom out to see the whole document. Now you can go to the same place, right? Click from here and go here, or else you can select page board, right? Now, usually you will have this under layout, and under layout, usually you should be able to identify these, right? Applying borders. So in this particular case, usually you have to have these beige color and page borders, right? So older version, you should have this. But in my version, right, usually we have page borders and page colors is here, right? That is actually newer version, but the older version we have this in page layout. I think the tab is not that important, only the symbol you should know, right? So in this particular case, we have page border here. When I click it, we'll get the same menu like earlier, but middle one. So you can select box, right? And you know, style, then you can change a different color, right? So when you press OK, so you see that you get the border for the whole page. Now, page color also, if you want to apply color to the whole page, you can select the color like this. So that's page border and page colors. Right. Now that we have learned, right, we can talk about how to put, headers and footers. Right. Normally, if you have seen a book with a set of chapters, you usually see your chapter name in the very beginning. So this line we known as header, right? So you can put whatever you want in the header. The beauty is every time you use it, you see header in each of the pages. Right? So usually you should find this under insert. Now let me choose header, and then you can select where you want to put the header. Right now, I'm going to use, right, blank, which means I can type anything here. So let me type the name of the class. So we have the class name, and then you can close. The beauty is, now let's say I'm going to create a new page. So usually, let's say if you want to, create a new page or end the page from here, we can press Control and Enter. Press Control and Enter, it will go to the new page. Now you see in the new page, again the header is there. So if you have 200 pages, if you just insert header, usually it comes to all the 200 pages. Similarly, you can have footer as well, right? So similarly, you can go to insert, right? Then we can have footer. Right? So in the footer also you can type something. Say contact us with, let's say I'm putting some number here. Right? Again, when you close this, you should see the, right, footer everywhere. So headers and footers are very useful, especially when you want to have this in all the pages. And of course, page numbers. So similarly, you can go to insert, then you can select page number, and you can decide where you want to have the page number. So let me say I'm going to use the bottom middle space, right? So usually it will come here. Now there's a small issue. Sometimes you will see when you put page number, the footer will be gone. So you have to be very careful, right, to insert that together with, page number. So one way to do this is you go to insert, then we go to footer, right? You can have multiple, like here we can have 3, right? So likewise, you have to balance it when you want to have multiple items in either header or footer, right? Now we discuss, so how to put headers, how to put footer, and how to put page numbers. So symbols are important in your case. Right. Before I go to uh, the other part, the mail merge, last one, I want to discuss a little bit of printing, right? Now, unfortunately, I can't demonstrate. Yeah, I can demonstrate, right? Maybe I can use, okay. Yeah, I think I can. Maybe I can demonstrate how we can do this. Sorry. Right. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how we could print. If you have a print at home, I hope you are already familiar. But let's say, in case if you do not have a printer, right? It's not that difficult. Assume that you have already printer installed. Right? So in my case, I'm trying to connect with my other account, and just to show you what we are going to do, right? So let me connect to my other account. Okay, but before that, I think we have to restart our session because we have only 2 minutes left. So can you guys please connect again? Remember that we are using, this is the English medium one. If you are anyone in Sinhala medium, you can join the same session after 7, right? Okay, now having said that, let me go back. I'm going to finish the session and let's join again, right? Um, so you need to rejoin because the time is out. Right, I guess now you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, thanks Himashi, thanks Divanka. Right now I actually open grade 11 note. So we have about 20 pages. Is it only 20 pages usually? No, it's more than 20. So it's still loading, right? Anyway, uh, so let me show you how we can print it. In this particular case, I'm going to use Word. Give me a second. Some of your colleagues want to join the session. So let me give him the username and password. Right, okay. Right, so in this one, we have a 110-page document. Now let's say I'm going to print it, right? So this is exactly what you're going to learn in grade level. Let me say I want to print like this page. So that means, let's say I want to print page 3. Now, if you want to print it, we can, right, go to file, right? I hope you can see. Maybe I will show you the whole screen. I can go to File, and then you can select Print. So it's not that difficult to print it, but there are a few things you need to remember when you want to print something. Now, the first one, you have to select the printer, right? Now, in my case, I have Epson L220 printer. Okay. Let me join the Zoom with my account. I'm going to connect, and then let me open so I can see.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Now, let me start video. See whether you can see. Hopefully, yes. Now you should be able to see. Right. So my machine is Epson. Right. I hope you can see. Right. So you can see my printer. Can you see my printer? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's a Epson one. So you first thing is you have to select printer from here. So I'm going to select printer. So it's Epson L220. Now depend on that, we can do the changes. So you can go to, for example, printer properties, and in the printer properties I can select the document size. Let me say I'm having A4 sheets. I'm going to select A4, and then let me choose color. It's a color inkjet printer, and if you want to print two sides, you can select manual. Right. First of all, I will show you like single page, and then we can go for double pages. Right. Then I click OK. Now this is a 110 page document I told you, so I'm not going to print everything. So which means you have to select print range. If you do not change, it will try to print all the pages, right? But I'm going to select, you can just type it, right? Now, for example, if I want to print only the third page, which I'm seeing right now, I can type 3. So you will see custom print now. It has changed to number of pages or all pages to custom print. The next thing, you can change different things, orientation, whether you want to print it this way, or you can print it in landscape on the other side, right? Now I'm going to say print, and you can see what will happen, right? So I'm going to click print. So now it's printing. So you can see how printer works. And then you see the printout now. Okay, now I have the printout. So in this particular case, you will see, right? We have one page printout, right? Okay, this is you are printing a single page and it's single sided, so the other side is blank. Now let me show you, right, how we could do double side printing, because different printers come in different way. So let me show you how we could do. Now this time I'm going to say show how we can multiple prints. Let's say I'm going to print 2 pages, but before that let me go through the document. So for example, if you want to print, let's say 2 pages, page number 3 and let's say 7, right? So you can go from file print, you can comma separate 3, then I'm going to say I'm put a comma. Comma is to print page by page, right? This is to print page by page. Okay. Now, if you want to print all the pages between 3 to 7, then you can use dash. Right now, if you put a dash, it's not very, I hope it's not very clear in my, when I type it, but it's what I type is 3 to 7, which means I'm going to print pages from 3 to 7. If you want to, you can comma separate. Now, when you say comma separate, what it means, I'm going to print page number 3 and page number 7, right? And then I will go to print properties. In my one, it's not automatic one, two-sided printing. I have to do it manually. So I'm going to choose manual long edge binding, and I'm going to say OK. Right. Let me print and see what will happen. So in this time, you will see print starts. And it will print the first page. And you can see in the screen, it asks me to change the page. Now it says, okay, I have to take the page, turn the other side, right? And I have to feed it again. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I will get the page, right? I will turn the other side. Now I'm going to putting in the paper stack. Right? Now I'm ready to go with the other side. So I'm going to send resume again. So now it will print the other side of the paper. Now this is page 3 and 7. So you can see this side, we have page number 3, right? And then the other side, you can see page number 7, right? There are a couple of questions. Malindu asked whether you can reduce the colors. It depends on the print actually, right? So in my case, if I go to file print again, and if I go to print properties, so it should be here somewhere. The color reduction should be here, otherwise you can't change, right? Now, for example, in this one, I have no way to change it, I guess. But some places you can change this. Some printers allow you to change the color, right? Which means you can say, okay, like wash out. There's a question of long edge and short edge. Now, long edge means this side of the paper, right? If you are binding like this, when you're printing a book, if you're binding from this side, we call this is long edge. And short edge means in this way. Now, especially when you're printing landscape mode, then we will select short edge. Now, Dolina asked whether there are printers which can print both the sides. Yes. Now, for example, organizations and even the universities, the printers we have, it automatically prints both sides. And some of the printer is actually stepped automatically as well. Right. So I was in Sweden about 15 years back. That time we had a printer where it can print about 100 pages, both sides, stapled and come out, right? Even you can insert a book, it will photocopy automatically, bind it and come out. So yes, there are printers like this. Okay, thanks for all these questions, because this is exactly what I need. So I think I can switch off my other account. So I think I have demonstrated. Unfortunately, we can't have practice sessions, but let's see how things goes on. At least next year, we might be able to do it practically, right? Anyway, right. Having said that, let me switch to the next one. So I'm going to leave out the Zoom, right? Okay, any questions on printing? I explained how to reduce the color, Malindu. It depends on the printer you have and printer settings. So usually some printers allow you to reduce the colors. That's possible, right? Otherwise, you can use washout. In the graphic, you can reduce the number of colors. That's also possible. Right. Okay. So now we'll go back. Now what we just discussed is printing. We'll move to the next one now. I'm going to change the share again. So this time I'm going to use my previous Word document, right? Now we discuss, that's another question. How many pages you can print in my machine? I don't know. I mean, thousands, I guess. So it depends on, and this is actually, I have 10 bottles. You have a tank. This is a tank. Let me show you the tank. This is a tank printer. The cost is actually really low, right? So I can print thousands of pages. I think the cost of the page is, I think, less than 1 rupee, I guess. Maybe 2 rupees per page. I think this should be less than that.
Recording in progress.
Right, now let me start video again. And then I will change the camera. Okay. Let me spotlight myself. Okay. Let me change the screen. Now this is a tank printer. What I have here is a ink tank. When I open it, usually you will see set of colors. We have a set of colors, right? 4 color in my case, black and 3 other colors. So I'm purchasing bottles. So one bottle is about 2000 rupees, but then I can print thousands of copies. Cost is very less in this machine. So this is Epson L220, you can check. But I think there are like printers out there. The cost of the printer, I think recently, because of this pandemic, and then they were restricted, you know, getting these computers. So nowadays it will be price is a little bit higher, but I think the cost is very low. So I will actually use to print every day, because for my kids, most of the time they are getting, you know, handouts. They need the papers, so they can freely take printouts. The cost is very less. I didn't remember, Kanishka, I didn't remember exactly how many pages I can print with the bottle, but definitely more than 2000 copies I can print with the single bottle. So that's why I said the price will vary, because for a color printer, since you are using all the 4 colors, that might be a little bit higher. For uh, black and white, definitely it cents, less than 1 rupee, definitely, right? Okay, so hope that's clear to you. Right, now we'll get back to the next one. Now, if you do not have a printer, right, but still you can get an idea if you go to file print, because if you say file print, right, usually it will show you how you are going to print. Now, let's say I'm going to print only the first page, right? Then you will see it here as well. So you can change it from here. So how you're going to print and so on, right? Okay. I think with this one, we came to the last point where we could uh, work on mail merge, right? The idea of mail merge is very interesting. If you want to use, let's say, send um, same letter to multiple, uh, recipient, then we could use mail merge. Let's say I want to send you a letter, address individually each of you. Now what will happen? Then in that particular case, I have to type everyone's name and addresses. No, it's not like that, right? So let me demonstrate exactly how we could do this in Word, right? So mail merge is used when you want to send, right, customized letter. What do you mean by customize? We can change the person name and things like this, right? So I'm going to demonstrate this using the exercise given in your book, and after that I want everyone to work on that individually and send me mail merge document, right? So look carefully, and then if you have any questions, please raise. So when it comes to mail merge, then so normally you start typing a letter, right? So for that, I'm going to start with new, right? Let me take file new. I'm going to get blank document, right? And I guess now you see I have the blank document, right? Now let me show you the letter that I'm going to type, right? So what I'm going to type, as I told you, like I'm going to get, right, the your book grade 10. In that one, I'm going to look at, right, this document. So I hope now you can see uh, the word processing, right? And let me show you what exactly I'm going to type. Right. Now, this is what I'm going to do. So in mail merge, what I'm going to do, I will have a document which we call master document, and I'm going to type it with you. And then we have data separately in a data source or in a simple database. And then I'm going to connect together to get multiple documents. So this is what we call mail merge. So when you want to send letters, you can use these address labels. If you want to post it, for that, you can use mail merge, right? Now, how are we going to do this, right? Now, to do this is what we are going to do. So first of all, you type a document to send, right? In this exercise, what I'm going to do, I'm going to assume that I'm going to send a letter to parents, right? With their addresses, with their child name and date and time for the meeting, right? Let's say we have to send this to all the students in the class. Now, the very first step is you type this, right? So let me type together, right? So I will take this out. Now you can see the screen. The first step, you type the letter, right? Without anything, you just type it. So I'm going to type it exactly as it is. Right? You can have the date. Right. So I type everything like this. Then now you know why this is in red color. So I'm going to change it to the correct spellings. This should be ignored because it's not in the dictionary. If you want to add it, you can add to dictionary if you're using this term again and again. I'm going to say ignore, right? So teacher parent day, and then I'm going to type the remaining. There are places I have to put the other values, so that's why you will see two @s there, right? And then finally, I'm going to close this, say, principal. Principal. Okay, now you see I have typed the master document. That's the first step, right? So all the steps are given in the book. You can have a look at it, right? Now I can go to mail merge, right? So for that, I will go to mailings, right? And then I'm going to say, okay, start mail merge. And what I'm going to mail merge, I'm going to write a letter. So I will select letter from here, right? So now I have typed the letter, right? Okay, now after this one, right, you can select the recipients, right? Go to select recipients. That means whatever the details that I have to enter. Now in this particular case, so I would like to put the address here and their child name and the time and the date, right? Date and the time. So that information. So I'm going to select recipient and type it new list. So because I'm going to create a new one. So now I'm getting something like this address list. Hope you can see, right? Now in this particular case, now we have to select what we want to type. So it's already given, right? So let me show you, right? In the document, you have been given what information you to type, right? Now, these are the information I have to type. I have to have title, first name, last name, address 1, address 2, child name, date, and time. Right now, I'm going to customize this, right? Let me take two words, right? Okay. Maybe I will split the screen. So I will put this and this. No, it's not possible. Right. Anyway, I think you have seen it, right? So I'm going to say select recipient now, type this. So this one. So I'm taking this to the other screen then. You have seen this one. So now the next step, I'm going to prepare the column names like title, first name, last name, address 1, address 2, child name, date and time. So that's what I'm going to do. Right. Now I'm going to select, right? So already there are some values I could use. So that's possible, right? So whatever I can use, I'm going to use it. Other, I'm going to change it, right? So in this one, I can select what you want. So the first thing is I'm going to customize this. So I'm going to say customize columns, right? I need title. So I'm going to keep it as it is because title is there. First name is there. I'm going to keep it. Last name is there. I'm going to keep it. There's nothing called company name. I'm going to delete it. This is I'm selecting the column names. Then instead of address line 1, I have address 1. So I can change it. I'm going to say rename. So instead of address line, I'm going to say address 1. Right. The second one, I'm going to say address 2. Again, rename. I'm going to say address 2. Right. Then I can remove all thing. I don't need all this. So I can delete. Yes. Right. From in, delete. Yes. Delete. Yes. I do not need any other. So I'm going to remove everything after address 2. Right. Now I'm going to add a new one. So after address 2, I'm going to say child name. Child name. Right. Then I'm going to add date. Then I'm going to add type. Right. Once you do this, we prepare whatever we need. That means I'm going to change this list. I'm going to select OK. Now, when I select OK, now we have title, first name, last name, address 1, address 2, child name, date, and time. Now I can start typing. So I can say, okay, Mr. Chamind Sampath Pelawat. We have Patramul. The name of the child, Yavaha. And the date is 26th of June 2014. And the time is 9 a.m. I'll go to the next one. So the next one, Mrs. Pushparani Chandra Bose Matakulia Pelambu and Darwin. So I'm going to type the date. and the time is 9:30. Then we have Mr. Mohammed. We have Amit. Is Preet. Tehibala. The child name is Sharmila. Same date, 2014. But the time is 10 a.m. So this is actually data source. Now I have completed this, so I can click OK. Now it asks me to send. So let me put some name. I'm going to say address list. Right now it's stored. Now we have done with the master document. So this is the master document. Right. For example, let me center this one and underline. Okay. Right now I can add to the places where we want that information. Right. So this is the second step. Right. Now to do that, right, we are going to use, right? So we have to go back to the mailing. You can use address block if you want, right? For example, you can directly use this if you want, right? Instead of that, I'm going to prefer line by line. So what I'm going to do actually, right? I'm going to cancel. I'm going to select insert merge fields. So here you can see all the fields I have typed. Now I can put the places where you want. First of all, I'm going to insert the title, Mr. or Mrs. I will put a space. Then I will add the first name, space, and the last name. Okay. Then I press enter, right? Press enter. Then I'm going to have the first address line. So I'm going to have address line. Next line, I'm going to say address 2. So I have done with the parent address. Now the body of the letter. So we have to say, please take this opportunity to discuss the progress of your child. And then we have to put the child name. So I'm going to say child name, put a space. By meeting the class teacher, right, on, I have to put a date, right? So we have to put the date, space, at, we have to put the time. So I'm going to select time now in the classroom, right? Hopefully, right, we have done with this. Now let's remember the steps. We type the master document, then we had the data source. Now we have insert the fields, the places we need, right? Now we have done the initial one. Now see what will happen. I'm going to select merge, right? I'm going to select finish and merge. When I click finish and merge, now you see we have only one page. See what will happen. When I click finish and merge, right? And then when you select end individual documents, and I'm going to use all the document, all the addresses, when I click OK, now we started with the first letter, right? So here is the first letter, right? Chaminda Sampa, Palavatta bathroom. It came automatically. And you see there are 3 pages. If you look at the number of pages down there, you can see 3 pages. We have teacher party interact day. Please take opportunity to discuss your child. Yeah, by meeting the class teacher on, we have the date and the time, right? So what you need is just simply print. So this is the second letter, right? It's arranged nicely. And this is the third letter. So if you had like, let's say 100 addresses, it quickly within a fraction of a second, it will create all the 100 letters. And then you can also print letterheads, the labels for your mails. So that also could be done in the same way. Uh, Start mailing and you can select the addresses, right? Okay, any questions? No question? Is it clear? Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. I think now it will disconnect because we have only 1 minute left, and then we can come back again. We can do a couple of exercises, right? Okay. Right. So the shortcut for new document is Control N. To save, Control S. To open a document, Control O. To print a document, Control P. To close a document, Control W. Control Z for undo, Control Y for redo. In any these shortcuts actually common for almost all the application in Microsoft, right? But there are, because it's common understanding, so I do not think people have changed this. Then you have a help. If you need the general help, you can press F1, right? So usually you can type F1 in your keyboard. Right? So when you press F1, you should get the help. You should get the help over. Right. Then we have page up, page down, home, and in. If you want to go different places in the document. Now, when you say page up, it goes up one screen. Right. So in this particular case, when I press page up, this is what will happen. So I'm pressing page up, page up. This is page up. Then this is page down. Right? You go down. Right? And then when you press home, this is what will happen. When you're in a line like this, so right now I'm here. When I press home, it will go to the beginning of the line. When I press end, it will go to the end of the line. Right? But if you type control and home, it will go to the first page. Right now I'm in the page number 1. And if you print control and end, you go to the last page. I'm in 102. I have to go back to this page. Okay, fortunately I came quickly. So try this. Then if you want to select everything, you press Control A. So you press Control A, it will select the whole document. Copy, paste, cut, you already know. So Control C, Control V, Control X. Copy, paste, and cut. Control H, you will get the usually find and replace. Right? You should see find and replace. You can type a particular document in the Word document. Then you can use Control B. Right now, in this particular case, if I say Control B, it should bold. Right? Then if you press Control I, I'm pressing, it should italics. Control U, it should underline. Right? So similarly, you can use alignment as well. Control L for left, Control E for center, Control R for right, and Control J for justify. And F7 is for spelling and grammar. So this is my document. You see how many errors. It says, okay, 78% score is given, and there are 123 spelling mistakes and 208 grammar mistakes. So this depends on, sometimes I'm using singular words as well. So that might be one reason why I'm getting spelling and grammar mistakes, right? But anyway, okay. So with that one, we will conclude the word processing. And from next week onwards, we can start spreadsheets, right? For spreadsheets, actually, I'm not providing any notes. We have to write down, but up to Word, I will send you the note. Again, as I told you, don't, just get the note and forget about it. So I strongly suggest you to write a note. A complete note will give you, because you need some time to write, right? I know sometimes you don't like it, but when you write, it'll go to memory, because you think about it. It'll take some time. So that's why most of the time, we ask to write by yourself, right? This might not work for everyone, but I think most of you, right, when you writing means you focus on, right? Instead of just listen, maybe if you spend some time on writing down the note, it will helpful for you, right? Now, having said that, let's go back to look at some of the questions you might get in Word. Although we have discussed completely very practical stuff, when it comes to exams, usually it will be theoretical one. You have to select what icons or commands you have to select. Most of the time, they will give you the answers. You have to select the answer from the given set of answers. Right. So let's start. For all of these, I want you everyone to respond me. Use the chat, right, to respond. And then remember, it's very important, right? You try, but you can fail, right? I already used to tell this. Sometimes you will get, you make mistakes, but it's better always you make mistakes now than the later on, right, in the exam. So I want everyone to try this, irrespective of whether you are going to make a mistake or not. Right. Now, the very first one is about the command names, right? I want everyone to type the letter and then also the command. Right. So there are 6 commands, and you have to recognize what those 6 are. Can you guess? Use the chat session. Right. Usually you will get a list of answers and you have to choice. In this case, I'm not giving you, but you can try. Dahami already given me an answer. Good, Dahami. So my answer for this is, right? So either you can use center line, bold, change case, font size, right? These are the possible answers, not single one. And the other one is word dot, right? So these are my answers for A. So what I did is I went to the new document, and this is the Word dart. Word dart easily you can change the fonts, right? The way you want to have it, the style, you can easily change with Word dart. So in the exam, right, it could be one of these, right? Essay question you have to write down, but most of the time they will give you a list of answers, and then you have to say. So A is Word dart according to my one. Right, good. Some of you have not answered because these are recorded. So right now I told you like you can make mistakes. Right, so let's try B. So what is B? Okay, let's look at your answers from top. B. Okay, drop cap. One answer. Change case. So these are your answers, right? Somebody said bold. Yes, there are 3 answers with drop cap. There are 2 answers with bold, right? So my answer for B is, the correct answer is drop cap. If you do not remember drop cap, let me show you. I will go to the Word file, right? Right. Let me insert some document. Let me say the same words that we have used earlier. I'm going to use it here as well. Right. So some paragraphs, especially in chapters, you will see the first letter is put it in big, right? So this is called drop cap. From here you see, right? You can use this one or in margin anyway, like put in, normally we say drop cap, right? So this is called drop cap. So the correct answer for this is drop cap. Okay, good. How about C? Come on, let's look at C. Okay, so your answers for C, let me check, right? Your answers for C. As I told you, you can make mistakes. Border is one of these. Yes, border and column. Yes. Paragraph border. Right. This is another answer. C. What else you have? Border again. Right. And then shapes. Okay, C, shapes. These are your answers. Alignments. All right. shapes again, columns, and so on. Okay, my answer for this is yes, you can have paragraph border if you want, and this is called columns, right? So let me go back to my other document, right? It's like this. So we have, so first one, right? You can make columns. So if you go to, where can I have, is it layout or is it, okay, in my case it's layout. Now you can select columns, let's say 3 columns. So it will be like this. So one is columns. And if you want to border, right? So we know that we can select border and shading. Simply you can say border and shading. We will have a border. But in this particular case, I'm getting individual borders. So let me change the order. So first of all, I'm going to remove the columns. Let's put the border first. I'm not sure whether this is correct, but let's see. I put the border first. And I'll go to columns. Make 3. Right. So you see that it's not really working in my case when I combine the two, right? So in the exam, the given question, they had actually columns only, right? So in this particular case, it's not really working with the columns. So shape might be better in that sense, right? Right now, I will give you the answer as, right? One is columns. Sorry, these are your answers. Right. So the answer for C is actually columns. In the exam, actually, in this particular case, the answers given is columns. Right. Getting a border, actually, it's not the question. You can either use borders or you can even use shapes. Right. Now let's move on to D. D is definitely shape. Most of you got shapes. That's correct. Because if you go back, you can insert shape from here. So you can insert shape. You can change the fill. You can say no fill. Shape outline. I can have more with a different color, right? And then I can insert a text within this. Uh, we can say add text. Right now here we can. Now we have the text. So the answer should be shape. So in this one, so I'll go back to here. So the answer for D, shapes. E is easy, right? So you can go to insert. You have pictures, right? So basically, we can say pictures. E is easy. We can say pictures. right? Finally, if there's actually a question that I have not put it here, it asks like, how do you get this out? So this is actually spelling and grammar. So for F, we can say, right, spelling and grammar, right? So usually when there's an spelling or grammar mistake, you will see this underline, right? Okay, you will actually get the simple questions like this. Okay, let's try with this one. I need every one of you to answer me, right? Now try this. Again, you can make mistakes. It's perfectly all right for me. Okay, sorry, I missed this one again. I muted. So when I muted, maybe you can speak up and tell me that I have muted, right? The first one I showed you like how you can actually use a shape, right? And then I told you this is a shape. And then this one, I can take two answers bolded, and also the font size could be another one. C, definitely it should be italics. D, definitely it should be underline. E, definitely it should be right align. F, definitely it should be center line, right? So I have seen most of you have, got the answers. I do not think these are very difficult ones, right? Anyway, right? So with that one, I will finish for today, and then I will create separate groups. Now, right now we have mixed, so I will put you in different groups so that I can share the relevant material with you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you note and also the two remaining the questions, so you can try those. Okay. So with that one, we will finish today. Thanks.